talk to the chairman, mining group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Babatunde Alatise. Good morning, Mr. Alatise. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Well, at the beginning of the present administration, the solid minerals sector was a high priority for the government. How much progress has been made so far?
Well, the government obviously has they shown a lot of interest and a lot of commitment towards the improvement of the sector. The first thing they did was to set up a roadmap that the Federal Executive Council approved. And the roadmap obviously highlights both short-term and long-term goals for the mining industry. As we all know, implementation of dreams and plans is the real crux of the story. So we're still in the middle of implementing those things that they laid down.
Now, talking about this roadmap, can you share your perspective on them? What are the contents?
Okay. The real thing that we Nigerians need to be concerned about, first of all, the government has isolated 7 strategic minerals, 7 minerals that are of national interest, and they feel would, quickly jerk up the economy. And these are coal, lead, zinc, barite, iron ore, limestone, and gold. Now, if these 7 minerals are focused on properly by the federal government, stuff like unemployment will be a thing of the past. Proper internally generated revenue for states will be a thing of the past. And literally, Nigeria can solve most of its problems from harnessing these minerals. I'll give you a typical example. Everybody knows about the quagmire surrounding Ajaokuta Steel Complex. Now, everybody's talking about finishing the complex, but nobody's talking about the important part, which is the feedstock that goes into the blast furnace to create the steel we need. Obviously, as an industrialized nation, we can't be an industrialized nation without steel. Now, if the NBS, that's the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics report for 2007, says the annual production for iron ore is 1,500 tons. That's 1,500 tons. Now, the blast furnace at Ajaokuta Steel Complex needs 2.3 million tons to create 1.3 million tons of steel. And the whole country is doing 1,500 tons. So if that blast furnace ton comes on, or we go live, or they complete, the project, the Ajaokuta Steel project, how are we going to feed it with iron ore ingots? Iron ore, really. So this is where, you can solve Nigeria's youth unemployment problem. You can get these young, unemployed, strong chaps to get into these mines and get the raw iron ore we need to feed the blast furnace. That's one. 2, let's look at the other ones. Barite, real quickly. Barite is a mineral used for drilling oil and gas. And we all know Nigeria is an oil and gas.
So these minerals you're mentioning are the strategic...
The 7 strategic minerals that the government has isolated and said, look, these are important. Nigeria has about 44. We are highly blessed with all sorts of minerals, like you earlier said, from industrial to construction to energy to you name it. We have it all. We're blessed. But like I said, they focus on these 7. Now, we're talking about barite. Barite is used for drilling in oil and gas. IOCs import these things in huge quantities, and they spend tons of foreign exchange investment. These things are locally available. In Nasarawa is a hotbed for barite. Now, we at the chamber, we have chamber members that have barite exploration companies. Why are they not being patronized? The roadmap talks about import substitution. Things that were important that you can substitute with what we have here locally. Why is that not being done? Why can't an intervention fund be created specifically for barite and have NNPC or NAPENS, which is the acquiring arm of NNPC?
Is funding the major issue? What are the issues there?
Funding is the #1 issue in mining. Nobody understands mining. So the first problem we have to face is educating the bankers, the financial institutions, about the processes that go into mining from end to end. I don't know why they're oblivious of it.
How much support do you get from banks? I mean, the mining sector.
Well, honestly speaking, I would say 0 to 5%. Honestly speaking, I'll be very frank with you. Now, the government created 3 different kinds of funds available for the mining sector. The first one is the Mining Intervention Fund, which is part BOI, part Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. I think each of them came up with 2.5 billion, and there's a 5 billion naira intervention fund for miners, where artisanal miners can get 10 million naira and small-scale miners can get 100 million naira. Now, we have a bunch of our chamber members that have applied for this, but none of them are successful. They're still waiting, and this is, the administration is almost over. Then we have the Mine Diver, which is basically an exploration fund, which is also available for everyone. And we also have members of our chamber that also have applied to it, and we're still waiting. Then there's the ESF, which is the Export Stimulation Facility, which is open to anybody exporting. It's from Nexim Bank, it's a CBN fund as well. We've also applied for that, and nobody else is calling. Now, the key thing is, what are the criteria for eligibility? They need to spell this out and let everybody know.
So, but what is we have a minister.
Yes.
What is he doing about it?
Oh, yes, like I said, there's a roadmap. But Nigeria, we're great at creating documents, but we're not so great in implementing these documents.
And for you at the chambers, I mean, you're supposed to be advocating.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Oh, we've been singing. I came into this office just beginning of this year, and I've had quite a bit of press conferences. Channels was one of them. We are educating the public. So we have these mines to market master classes. We've invited banks, we've invited insurance companies, industry practitioners, geologists, explorationists. You need to understand the processes involved in mining. If you don't understand, the banks will not give you money. Let me give you a typical example. How many banks have mining desks in their, HQs? Probably 1 or 2 out of 20 something of them. Now, these mining desks, do they know what to ask for when looking at the business plan? I don't want to mention any names, but one of our members went to a bank one day and they were asking about geophysical survey. Oh, I know what this map's look. I've seen this map before. I know what this map looks like. Okay, that is just one component in the whole grand scheme of things. You haven't asked for your geochemical survey. You haven't asked for your core drilling, your chemical analysis, your reserve estimate. I'll give you an example. I know what's that popular OML that went out there that there's so much scandal about. That is the biggest oil well. Yeah, you know what is in there. That's why there's so much corruption surrounding it. Now, if you had proven reserve estimates, and you know that, okay, in that location, there is 100 million tons of XYZ, a bank would run to that because they know for the next 40, 50 years, if you were to mine 100 million, a specific amount every month, you have your cash flow.
Whose responsibility is it to get those data?
Well, there's an institution called NGSE, right? They have that data, but they have it to a certain degree. You as a business need to get finance to do further exploration. They've done something called the airborne geophysical survey, which is literally a plane going down and mapping out the whole place, telling you what is where, and based on color variations, you can tell what mineral is in what location. Now, that is not good enough for a bank. You need to give your bank bankable data, okay? And the only way you can have bankable data is to actually go into the location and have core drilling done. Core drilling is just you drill into the ground, you bring out everything you see in the ground after it's gone a whole bunch of meters or feet into the ground, and you can tell, okay, if I should mine here, this is how long this reserve will last me. That is how a bank will be interested in the industry. Now, Einstein said something once that, look, if you keep using the same approach and expecting a different result, you're joking, you must be crazy. Now, we've been using the same approach to solve this thing all this while, but
it's not working.
It's not working. So we need to jig it up a little bit, figure out what we're doing wrong. And it's obvious what we're doing wrong. We don't have enough exploration data. That is the real problem. Now, if we put our act together, there are a lot of grants available by DFIDs, USAID, World Bank, African Development Bank, which our own person is even the president of. You can get these grants and do exploration. Let us figure out how much quantity is in that location. So, okay, we've got too many minerals, 44. Let us focus on the 7 we've isolated and create hotbeds of activity in those locations with the 7 strategic minerals and figure out something from there. Now, I don't care what kind of mineral it is, if you spend $2 million on exploration, core drilling, you will figure out what is in the ground there, and the banks will get interested. Even if the local banks are not interested, international banks would run towards bankable data that shows proven reserve estimates.
Yeah, but we have a lot of foreigners in this sector.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I'll give you an example. The Chinese have free money, quote unquote. They've got technology, they've got the heavy duty equipment, and they've got cheap labor. So you find a lot of Chinese companies are now in Nigeria mining. There isn't really data transfer or knowledge transfer with these foreigners, because you find out that they actually have somebody for everything. Even their welders, their welders are Chinese sometimes. It's great. Yeah, they're coming into the community. Paying royalties to the government. But if you don't have any indigenous mining exploration companies, we're only suffering ourselves in the long run. What are we leaving behind for our kids and our grandkids?
And what about capacity? A lot of artisans, we'll have a lot of artisans in the mining business.
That is the blessing and the curse we have, because artisans are literally just trying to make a living for themselves off the ground they see everywhere. Okay? They believe the ground belongs to them. They are the son and the daughters of the land. So it will be very hard to convince them that they cannot dig. So what government is trying to do is create cooperative societies where you can group all these chaps together and formalize their processes. Now, if you now say, okay, formalize the process and they should go and apply for a facility, and you tell them to bring collateral, how do you want artisans to bring collateral? That's why they're artisans. That's why they're illegal. They don't have money. If they had money, they won't be illegal. So like I said, if we keep using, you can't approach mining projects or mining finance the same way you approach every other finance. Like I said, we've been doing the same thing and it's not working. So why don't we try something else? We all know exploration is the problem, and banks need exploration bankable data. So why can't the government put some money into the 7 strategic minerals, into exploration? Know that, okay, at Ilubiri, there's X amount of coal, and it is 100 million tons. Now, they put money into the exploration of that site, so there's equity for the government. So all they do is concession the site and sell some of the equity to a private company. PPP, right. And then we move forward.
Thank you very much for your time. I guess we have quite a lot to talk about this sector, perhaps in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Babatunde Alatise is the Chairman Mining Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. After the break, we'll look at the equities markets today.